I never imagined that a piece of old furniture would change my life. At the time, it felt like just another weekend errand, but looking back, it was the start of something much bigger. My name is Emily Carter, and I've lived in Portland, Oregon for most of my life. I had just turned 27, and while my friends were getting married or moving into the next chapter of their lives, I felt stuck in between. My small apartment downtown had been my safe space since college, but it was starting to feel cramped, lifeless, and full of old memories I didn't want anymore. The couch was the biggest reminder. It was the same one my ex and I had picked out years ago. Every time I sat on it, I felt like I was living in the past. So one rainy Saturday afternoon, I decided it was time for a change. I drove to a local thrift store on Hawthorne Boulevard, a place that had always felt cozy and quirky. The kind of place where mismatched furniture sat next to vintage lamps and bookshelves that looked like they belonged in a movie set. I wandered around for a while, running my hands across different fabrics, trying to imagine what piece could fit into my small apartment. That's when I saw him. Not the couch. Him. He was kneeling beside a deep green velvet sofa, inspecting its wooden legs. He looked about my age, maybe a little older, with dark brown hair that curled just slightly at the ends and kind eyes that seemed too warm for the gray Portland weather. He was tall, wearing a faded denim jacket over a simple gray t-shirt. There was something effortlessly approachable about him. Thinking about getting that one? I asked, surprising myself with how casually I spoke. He glanced up at me, and his smile was immediate, like we were already sharing a secret. Yeah, maybe. It's got good bones. Just wondering if it'll fit in my place. I was wondering the same thing, I said, half joking, but it was true. The couch was beautiful. Modern but soft. The kind of furniture that invited you to stay a while. He stood up, brushing his hands on his jeans. Guess we've got ourselves a bit of competition, huh? I laughed. I suppose so. May the best apartment win. That's how I met Ryan Mitchell. We ended up talking in the middle of the thrift store for nearly an hour. He had just moved back to Portland after working in Seattle for a few years. He worked as a graphic designer, loved hiking in the Columbia Gorge, and admitted he was a little obsessed with coffee shops. I told him about my job as a teacher, my love for sketching in old notebooks, and my struggle to make my tiny apartment feel like home again. The couch ended up being the excuse we needed to keep talking. Instead of either of us buying it right away, we agreed to grab coffee across the street. One cup turned into two, and before I knew it, the rain had stopped, and the evening sun was peeking through the clouds. Over the next few weeks, Ryan and I kept finding excuses to see each other. Sometimes it was about furniture. He'd text me a picture of a quirky lamp he found at another thrift store, and I'd reply with a bookshelf I thought he might like. Other times it was just about life. He had a way of listening that made me feel like my words mattered, even when I was rambling about something as simple as my students' art projects or my favorite bakery down the street. The couch, ironically, didn't end up belonging to either of us. By the time we went back, someone else had bought it. But it didn't matter. That couch was just the beginning. One Friday night, after a long week of work, I invited Ryan over to my apartment. I had finally replaced the old couch with a simple cream-colored one that felt fresh and new. We sat on it with pizza boxes on the coffee table and a movie playing in the background. I don't even remember which movie. It didn't matter. What mattered was the way his presence filled the space, how his laughter made my little apartment feel brighter, and how sitting beside him felt natural, like it had always been that way. I realized then that I had been holding on to too much from the past. The couch, the apartment, even my fear of moving forward. It was all part of the same story I needed to let go of. And Ryan, he was helping me write a new one without even trying. As weeks turned into months, our connection grew deeper. We went hiking together in Multnomah Falls, where he carried an extra jacket in his backpack just in case I got cold. We explored the Saturday market, tasting food from stalls and laughing over handmade trinkets. We spent quiet Sunday mornings in coffee shops, reading side by side, sometimes exchanging a smile without needing words. There was no rush, no pressure. Just two people discovering what it meant to show up for each other, day by day. One evening in late autumn, when the leaves painted the city in shades of red and gold, we were sitting on my couch again. The apartment was warm, the glow of a candle flickering on the table. Ryan turned to me, his expression softer than I had ever seen. "You know," he said, "when I walked into that thrift store, I wasn't looking for anything more than a couch. I didn't know I'd find you." My heart caught in my chest. I smiled, reaching for his hand. "Funny. I think you were exactly what I didn't know I needed." And in that moment, I realized something important. Life doesn't always give us what we expect. Sometimes it gives us something better. Something that feels like home, not because of furniture or apartments, but because of the person sitting right next to you. The couch was just the beginning. Ryan became everything I never knew I needed.